Pioneers are explorers. Pioneers are innovators. Pioneers are leaders. We are Marietta College. We are pioneers. Find out how you can become a PIO at www.marietta.edu.
Gaza desperate for medical supplies.
And Colorado highway down after train derailment.
We'll have these stories and more. News Center 15 starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Thursday's edition of News Center 15. I'm Evie Gravlin.
And I'm Arista Gore.
Topping our news this afternoon, doctors in Gaza City faced with dwindling medical supplies performed surgery on hospital floors, often without anesthesia, in a desperate bid to have badly wounded victims of a massive blast that killed civilians sheltering in a nearby hospital amid Israel bombs and blockage of the territory. The Hamas militant group blamed the blast on the Israel airstrike, while Israel military blamed a rocket misfired by other Palestinian militants. At least 500 people were killed, according to the Hamas Health Ministry.
A broken rail caused a train derailment that collapsed a bridge over an interstate highway in Colorado, killing a truck driver and blocking the road for days. Federal authorities said Tuesday, based on their preliminary findings. Investigators are examining how the rail broke and why warning systems did not alert the crews to the condition of the track. A spokesperson from the National Transportation Safety Board said officials had no reason to believe sabotage caused derailment. Built in 1958, the steel bridge collapsed Sunday when 30 cars from a BNSF railway train hauling coal derailed while crossing Interstate 25. The highway is expected to remain closed for several more days.
Hey, I wonder what the weather looks like today.
Here to provide first look at our current conditions is Landon.
Well, thank you very much, Arista. Well, we've been experiencing very cool and crisp fall temperatures lately, and today's no exception. Today feels like about 57 with an expected high of 67. The UV index is at a relatively low level of 2 with a very good air quality. The index has level 33 and a low pollen count of 0.8, so virtually no allergies to deal with today. The winds will be running around the north at 7 miles per hour. The humidity is roughly 68%. And after our roughly 7:30 sunrise this morning, the sun should be setting later on this evening, approximately 6:40. So, like I said, we've been experiencing very crisp, cool fall temperatures, and that's going to be continuing on as we get into the weekend. But how long is that going to last? We'll talk a little bit more about that when I return later on for the 5-day forecast. So until then, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Landon. Starbucks and the union organizing its workers sued each other Wednesday in a standoff sparked by a social media post of the Israel-Hamas war. Starbucks sued Workers United in federal court in Iowa Wednesday, saying a pro-Palestinian social media post from a union account early in Israel-Hamas war angered hundreds of customers and damaged its reputation. Starbucks is suing for trademark infringement, demanding that Workers United stop using the game Starbucks using the name Starbucks Workers United, for the group chat is organizing the coffee company's workers. Starbucks also wants the group to stop using a circular green logo that resembles a Starbucks logo.
The chief suspect in a disappearance of Natalie Holloway has admitted he beat the young Alabama woman to death on a beach in Aruba after she refused his advances, then dumped her body into the sea. New details in the killing emerged Wednesday as Jordan Vander Sloot pleaded guilty to extorting Holloway's mother, resolving a case that has captivated the public's attention for nearly 20 years.
Coming up, the place of Versailles evacuated.
And a food program in a predicament.
We'll have these stories and more. Stay with us.
Hey, this is Kevin Love from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right now, many of us feel anxious. Mindfulness can help you ease those feelings. My nonprofit is partnering with Headspace to offer free content to help you stress less. Head to kevinlovefund.org/headspace.
Here's to the straggly ones, the first ones. Hey, I look good with this ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. The itchy ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones, and the absolutely filthy ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Learn more at Movember.com.
The Palace of Versailles and 3 airports and cities across France were evacuated for security reasons and temporarily closed Wednesday, the latest in a spate of evacuations in the last 5 days. The formal royal Chateau of Versailles apologized to visitors for forcing them to evacuate from the lavish 17th century palace from security reasons. The tourist attraction said on formerly Twitter that it reopened hours later after checks. It was the third since the weekend that the place had to evacuate visitors.
The United Nations World Food Program on Wednesday appealed for $19 million to provide emergency assistance to tens of thousands of people affected by a series of devastating earthquakes and aftershocks that has rocked western Afghanistan. The deputy country director of the World Food Program in Afghanistan said it was helping survivors, but it urgently needed more funding because they were already taking food from an already severely underfunded program. The group said it is working to provide emergency food assistance to 100,000 people in the region.
Deportation flights of Venezuelans from the U.S. resumed Wednesday with a first plane of more than 100 migrants landing back in their economically troubled country under the Biden administration's latest attempts to deal with swelling numbers of asylum seekers. This is the first time in years that U.S. immigration authorities are deporting people to the South American nation, marking a significant concession by the government of Venezuela's president to a longtime adversary. A new app is underway for autism testing in children.
WCMO's Morgan Ahlstrom has more.
This video of Dr. Daney's Fanian son and daughter is about a decade old.
There were things they would do, like kicking their legs and their arms. Definitely their eye gaze was different.
As a speech-language pathologist, she realized both kids experienced processing and developmental delays.
So the challenge is that the signs are ambiguous if we're just looking at behavior.
One key resource to diagnose autism is a parent questionnaire often performed during an 18 or 24-month checkup. Researchers say that missing kids, especially girls and children of color.
It's based on observations of behavior. So how do you develop a tool that can precisely measure behavior in an accurate way that could pick up on really subtle signs in many cases early in life?
That's where this new app comes in. It tracks a child's responses from emotional expressions to body movements, to gaze patterns to a series of prompts and videos, a tool which can help speed up a diagnosis and can help get children the assistance they need quicker.
It can make the difference between whether they learn to speak or don't, whether they can go to a general classroom or not. And so finding kids early in life is important.
Currently, it's in the pivotal trial phase, though data collected thus far has been promising.
I think it'll be really helpful to help close some of those disparities in early identification of underrepresented populations.
Now this app is in a trial phase that could take a couple more years to complete. That's all for me, Morgan Alstrup.
When we come back, we'll find out who won this year's Fat Bear contest.
And whose memoir we can look forward to getting.
And while we'll be experiencing a crisp and cool weekend, it'll have a bit of a wet and rainy start. I'll return for the 5-day forecast after this.
Where are we?
We're at Marietta College.
This is where we live, at Marietta College.
When kids need medical care, they face life-changing experiences. They miss out on the things that make being a kid fun. Starlight Children's Foundation programs entertain and inspire hospitalized kids. Learn more at starlight.org.
Marietta, a place some people call home.
A place of athletes.
A place of discovery.
A place for the future.
Your plan.
Your future.
Go Pios.
When it comes to packing on the pounds to survive an Alaskan winter, this year's undisputed champ is Grazer. Grazer, also known as Bear 128 to the fans, won this year's Fat Bear contest held at Alaskan's Katmai National Park and Preserve. This annual contest, which this year's drew more than 1.3 million votes from dedicated fans, is a way to celebrate the resiliency of the brown bears that live on the preserve on the Alaskan Peninsula.
Now that she has stepped back from the sport she dominated, like few others, Serena Williams is ready to reflect. The tennis great has a 2-book deal with the Random House Publishing Group, starting with an intimate memoir in which she will open up about everything from her childhood to her tennis training to her extraordinary career and the obstacles and setbacks she has endured along the way. This book is not yet titled and does not have a release date.
They are playfully called Forgotten Five. The Pogo Stick, the Fisher-Price Corn Popper, My Little Pony, Pez dispensers, and Transformers are up as finalists for the National of Toy Hall of Fame. For one of them, this is the year to make it, and the Hall of Fame is letting fans choose which one. Toys are usually chosen for the annual induction ceremony with input from a panel of historians, educators, and other experts. The members vote for their top 3 out of a dozen finalists that have been selected by an inaugural committee from among thousands of nominations that come each year. But this year, fan voters will pick one of the so-called Forgotten Five to celebrate the National Toy Hall of Fame's 25th anniversary, along with 3 other toys chosen for the usual way. It's time to now move on to Hollywood news. No music videos for promo singles from Ed Sheeran's new album, plus a documentary on the battle over Roundup and pesticides.
Zach has all this with today's Hollywood Minute.
Ed Sheeran is going a different direction with his latest release. You might be enjoying his new album, Autumn Variations, but don't look for any music videos or promotional singles. Why? He said he's doing neither for his first independent release on his own label, Gingerbread Man Brand Records. In an interview when the album came out, Sheeran said the move was a way to avoid the pressure of being a major label pop star, and the documentary, Into the Weeds, looks at the purported toxic legacy of the common yard product and farming staple Roundup. It also focuses on the lawsuit by a groundskeeper with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma against the herbicide's manufacturer. The documentary also focuses on the larger questions of human health, biodiversity, and whether we can have a future without pesticides. Check fathomevents.com for locations and showtimes for Into the Weeds. With your Hollywood Minute, I'm Zach Wurstel. Now, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Zach. Now we'll head to Grant for a look at our extended forecast.
Well, I've definitely got a Grant for you right here. You can see that we've been having some relatively cool, crisp temperatures this week, but as you can see here, coming from the northern American and southern Canadian border, passing through the Great Lakes, you can see that we're having some rain coming towards our neck of the woods. It's going to be a little bit of time before it gets here, but already it's passing through our neighboring states of Indiana and northern Kentucky. But as of right now, we've got a pretty calm, clear day. So moving on to the 5-day forecast, I've mentioned before that we're still going to be having some cool, crisp temperatures as we get into the weekend, but it's going to be starting off with some rainy conditions, some rain showers, an expected high of 60, but that rain won't last very long. It'll be all clear by Saturday as we go into slightly colder conditions with a high of 58 and cloudy conditions. Those cloudy conditions continuing on into Sunday with a slightly cooler high of 54. And we'll get a slight increase in temperatures when we get into the next work week on Monday with some sunny conditions and expected high of 57. But then we're going to be experiencing a bit of a sharp temperature rise of 67 with sunny conditions. So it looks like even though we're still experiencing some cool, crisp temperatures in the midst of autumn, it looks like there's one more attempt at summer warmth to try to creep its way back in. So you should probably prepare yourself for that slight warm spot in the middle of next week, but I wouldn't put away the sweaters and coats just yet. But we'll talk about that later on at the end of the program. Until then, that's all I've got for the weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Landon. When we come back, Grant will join us for an update from the world of sports.
See you in a few.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to the Midnight Snack Run. This is one tricky obstacle course. He's reaching, but he pushes it away. He's approaching a plate of iced cookies. He blows right by him. Oh, the fridge. Looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle. Now he's just got to get out of there. Look what dropped from the sky. Don't do it, Dennis. That's the way you execute a Midnight Snack Run. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Marietta College, home of the pioneers. A small town on the Ohio River with a tight-knit community and tons of opportunity. Find a home here at Marietta College. Bring forth a pioneer.
Did you know that over 700 kids enter the foster care system every day?
700?
700.
Just talking about foster care can help foster care.
Okay, let's try this.
Donate your small talk.
now we're back with Grant for a look at sports.
What's been happening in the world of sports?
I got the rundown right now. The Marietta College volleyball team was in action yesterday as they hosted the Capitol Comets. The Pios are looking to get back into the winning column as they lost a doubleheader last week to Carnegie Mellon and Wittenberg last Saturday. Marietta's defense shut down the Comets in the game. Mia Silva had 10 kills, and both Maggie Fellers and Jillian Fellers had 7 kills for the Pios. Marietta was able to win all 3 sets and improve to 10-10 on the season. The Pioneers will be back in action at Heidelberg University on Saturday as they would take on both Heidelberg and Alma College in a doubleheader, with game time set for 1 p.m. Staying in Marietta, the Pioneers men's soccer team also played against the Comets on Wednesday. The Pios were looking for a 3-game win streak heading into the game, and they were able to do so, getting the win against Capital 1-0. Taj Hayter scored the lone goal for the Pioneers. Reggie Grayk was credited for the assist to Hayter's goal. Marietta improves to 5-9-1 on the season and will be traveling to Heidelberg to take on the Student Princes on Saturday with game time at 2 p.m. The third-ranked Buckeyes of Ohio State will be playing a rivalry matchup this Saturday, and it's a tough one. The Buckeyes look to take down 7th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. Ohio State will be inside the horseshoe for this Big Ten clash, and head coach Ryan Day is hopeful that the shoe is rocking. Day said on Tuesday, "We've got them here in the shoe. Let's make it as loud as we can." Both teams enter the game with a record of 6-0. Kickoff will be at noon on Fox. Lastly, in NBA news, the Cleveland Cavaliers will have their last preseason game tomorrow as they take on the Indiana Pacers. The Cavs have lost their 2 previous preseason games, with losses to both the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks. Cleveland is looking to get in the end of the preseason off a high note and get prepared for opening night as they would travel to Brooklyn to take on the Nets with tip-off set for October 25th. That's all for the world of sports. I'm Grant Moore. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Grant. Joining us now at the desk is Landon for our last look at the weather.
Well, much like a good chunk of the rest of the week so far, where we've been experiencing temperatures ranging in the mid-50s, relatively cool, those will continue on into the weekend, although we'll have a bit of heavy rainfall tomorrow on Friday to start it off, but that will be done relatively quickly before we have another bit of a warm spell creeping in towards the first half of the next week on Tuesday. So, yeah, that's going to be a bit confusing for this time of year, especially for your allergies. But how are you guys looking forward to spending this cooler weekend?
Oh, well, this weekend's homecoming, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, yeah, pumped for that, aren't we?
Yep, homecoming, and I've got to work, so hopefully I see some new faces in town.
Oh, all right.
Oh, well, thanks for joining us for our Thursday edition of WCMO TV, Channel 15 at noon 30 and 6:30. For all of us here at the station, we wish you a great rest of your week.